Hi, welcome to NDE TV. I'm Peggy Robinson. Today's guest is Mike Benavee, and he's going to share his near-death experience. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
So you were
So,
working as a correctional officer in a maximum security prison
correct.
and driving home, looking forward to your 2 days off.
Yes. And yeah, that moment that changed my life. I shared it with you in the past, and when you go through a spiritual awakening because of an NDE or out of body experience, you like ascend. You're really just fulfilling your soul journey. So what happened then is that, like I said, I was a correctional officer and I was overworked, like a lot of us back then. Mandatory overtime, so you do like double night shift or night and day shift, and the money was really good. Everybody made good money, but it wore on me, physically, but more so spiritually, because for some reasons, when I was working in maximum security prison, there's plenty of energies, and not a lot of them are good. And I remember that it was weighed on me so much, just taking all these screams and incidents and just people, and this atmosphere was just toxic in a way. That's what I thought. So I developed insomnia, and I just couldn't sleep. I had like nightmares about the prison, and back then I had a business too. I was a martial arts instructor, so I had a school and I worked at the prison. So I was pretty overworked. And I remember that on my days off, they didn't have to mandate me for overtime. I could just go home when I was done with my night shift. And I was excited, and it was a Tuesday, and I, drove back home the same road that I used to take, just boring cornfields. There's nothing around, and I'm just trying to go home, and it took me an hour to go home. And I remember that at one point when I was driving, and I didn't feel tired. I really didn't feel, I wasn't yawning like I usually used to, but I was just, just excited to go home. And I remember that in the blink of an eye, and again, I still don't know what happened, whether I just fell asleep, I just lost control, I don't know. But all I remember was that the van that I had at the time just hydroplaned out of control. And before that, I was doing the speed limit because I was in uniform and I was the speed limit always. And it was 70 miles per hour. So when I started hydroplaning, instead of the speed going down because I wasn't hitting the gas pedal, the speed was increasing like dramatically. It was going like almost to 100. And I remember after that, there was a car that come from the opposite lane. And I can never, ever forget that because I was able to see that there was a woman there with a child that was about to go to school. She was about to drop into school because it was the same timeline when I left work. It was like 7:20, 7:30, and people took their kids to school. So I remember my biggest fear at the time because I was aware when I was spinning and I was aware of everything. I wasn't, so I saw that car and I'm like, there's no way that I will hurt these people because I fell asleep or because I lost control. So I did whatever I could to try to steer the wheel away from them and towards the shoulder of the right lane. And there was like a concrete slab with one of those dividers, and I hit it. And I remember when I hit it, like I was pulling the steer wheel, I was heading towards the wall, and all of a sudden in my head, time just slowed down. It was like almost slow motion. And I remember that I'm holding the steer wheel as hard as I could. I know that I can't get away from this impact. I wasn't even thinking about that. And I remember just smiling. Like I had a smile on my face. And I don't know why. It's almost like I accepted it and I was excited. My soul was excited to go back to its origin. But I remember just smiling, and it was seconds before I heard the bang, almost like an explosion sound. It was so loud. And I could see I was still in slow motion, but everything was just so loud. And I could see the like white sheets flying in the wind. And I'm like, this is so random in my head. And then I realized it was my airbag. It was just deploying in slow motion. So you see it kind of like in a dream state. And then I didn't remember the rollover. Apparently, according to the police and the newspaper, the rollover was like 6 or 7 times into a field. And the car was completely wrecked. But back to my experience, so the next time I had consciousness, and now I know, going looking back years after, I was just in a different state of consciousness that it's outside of this world, outside of this consciousness. So, but what was weird is that the surroundings, like everything that was there, was still there. Like the car, I was upside down, of course, and I was trapped, and the fields, everything looks the same, but I just changed consciousness. I felt when I first opened my eyes, first of all, I was just amazed by the silence. It was just like it was pure silence, like the silence that relaxes us before we go to sleep, like the silence you hear in the library when you're supposed to just be quiet. There's something about that that was just so amazing and comforting. And then little by little, I just lost my senses, like my physical senses. I couldn't touch anything. I couldn't feel anything. It's almost like everything was just on standby, and my brain, my soul were the only two that's activating. So I remember there was no sound, there was no smell, there was no smoke. I know exactly what happened. I actually remembered my shift the night before. So it wasn't like that I was unconscious. I remember everything. And it was still so weird. So I was upside down and the car, the van, and I remember sharing pictures of that in my Facebook page. It was completely crushed, and on the inside, people couldn't see, but I had these like sheet metals that just split open between the front windshield and the door, and they were all aiming at me. So most of the damage, the extensive damage, happened to the on the driver's side, but I was alone. So I open my eyes, I'm upside down, and I see these things like pointing at me, touching me, but I'm not touched, like I'm not, it's comfortable. The whole time I was there, and it was such an irony because I'm not supposed to be freaking out right now. This is the most stressful situation. Because I didn't know what happened if I hit a car, if I hit anything. I just remember that I hit this concrete, and then apparently I rolled over 5 times, and I remember waking up. So I remember I didn't mind where I was because I felt myself. I felt home. I felt protected. I felt like inside that car was just warmth and love and bliss. That's the only way, because you can never really manifest things from the metaphysical into the physical because it doesn't do justice with the metaphysical. So I can say I was in bliss, but then people can just, uh, you know, um, mix it up with just physical relaxation or bliss or anything, but it's different. It's completely different. So I open my eyes and I'm like, okay, so besides my eyes, nothing's really working. And then I remember the last thing that clicked that really amazed me is that my thoughts were empty. I didn't think about anything. Like I wasn't worried I didn't try to get out. I mean, I was uh, only when I went to the interaction, which I'm about to talk about in a second, only then I was kind of trying to see if I can get out, like my soul. So what happened is that I was in there and upside down. So at one point I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to get out. And I'm buried and I feel like there's nothing that I can do, nothing that I can move. And all of a sudden I just looked out the window and everything was just so foggy, like dream-like state, like foggy, like early morning feeling. It was gray. It wasn't like the vibrant world that that I remember. It's just remember that everything was just there. It was like a set, and I'm playing in a movie. So I look out the window, and there she was, a lady that was so interesting because first of all, she was dressed. She was like an older lady in her 60s, 70s, and she was dressed all in black, but her clothing were, I don't know, 1700s, 1800s, how they used to. And she looked like a nun looking thing. And I've never, up till this day, I'm still speculating like who this lady is or was. But I remember looking upside down and seeing her just pacing outside of my car, just going back and forth, back and forth. And of course, I'm trying to ask her to help me, but I don't have any voice. There's no sound. There's nothing. So I'm waving my arms outside the window and I'm upside down and she just nodded no with her head. She didn't say anything. She was just pacing back and forth and it's almost like she refused to help me and just nodded her head. And I remember this was the first time that my soul felt like it's changing because it wasn't me. I usually would get really upset if like I was in a situation like this and nobody would help me. I would probably yell, plus who knows, back the old me, whatever. And I remember that I didn't judge her. I was like, you know what? Like, let me just judge her with love. And then I remember thinking about maybe she was just worried to come and just, she's not trained, so she can hurt me more than she can help me. Maybe she was worried that the car's gonna set on fire. I just didn't know. I gave her all the benefit of the doubt. I was like, who cares? I was like, I'm having a good time. I'm not here to judge. And it was so weird because like, it's not me. I guess it is me, the inner me, the real me. So I remember that because I was so tired of waving and talking, I was just, I was just gonna close my eyes and just enjoy the feeling, the warmth. If somebody was hugging me, somebody was there with me, and I couldn't see, but I felt safe and protected and blessed. So I just closed my eyes for a second. I'm like, okay, she doesn't want to help me. I'm gonna close my eyes, gather my strength, and see what happens. I closed them, and little do you know, it wasn't even a split second. It wasn't even a millionth of a second that my eyes open again, and then everything comes back to life, just like a movie, just like I paused life and then resumed it on a I don't know, on a DVD thing player. So I wake up, and all of a sudden I start feeling the pressure from being squeezed under the cars, the physical pain. I remember that there was a little bit of blood coming down my forehead, and there was just my radio was still on, the car was still on, there's like gas coming and fumes and like weird smells. So I was like, okay, if that didn't take me, this will take me. I'm probably gonna burn here alive. And people coming from all over, and people just there was so many like just curious people coming out of their houses to see what happened, tons of police cars, fire trucks, ambulances. And I'm like that, I'm okay. I mean, I knew I was okay, and nobody believed me because of how the car looked and how it was buried. So I keep telling people that I'm okay, and I'm okay, and they scream at me back, and they give me morphine almost against my will. I don't know what they gave me, like a shot to the stomach, and they cut my uniform, and they put me in like braces, and I was like, guys, I promise you, I'm okay. I was just a little confused, and like, okay, the paramedic start running and see me in the car and roll the window and give me IV for the car. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Just might as well just get me out and give it to me. And he's like, we can't, we gotta wait for the firefighters. So they had to come with this thing called Jaws of Life and had to cut the van open and take me out and rush me to the hospital. And I remember I was in the ambulance, first time in my life that I was in the ambulance. And they're just driving like mad people, sirens, lights, there's not a police car coming behind them. And I'm like, oh, no, this is for me. I mean, I felt like I just took a shower. I didn't even know, after this deadly accident, I was like, I was fine. And we'll get to that in a second. So I remember in the ambulance was like a police officer, I think it was this woman was like a sheriff deputy, something. And she was just taking reports for my statement. And she was there, the paramedics and me. And I remember asking her, I was like, ma'am, is it okay if I ask you a question? She's like, sure. I was also in law enforcement, so it's that we didn't have any problem talking. But then the paramedic said, you know what, maybe you should just rest a little bit. You had a rough accident. We can talk to you after the testing. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm going to ask a question, please. And she goes like, yeah, how can I help you? And I said, isn't it against the law for a citizen to see another citizen in distress and not reach a hand to help or call you guys? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, this lady was there outside my car pacing, this old lady, and I was trying to get help and she wouldn't help me. And I remember they saying, well, there was no lady. We were the first in the scene. I mean, it was just you crushed there and there was nobody else. And then I remember saying, if I just start talking about a lady, keep talking about that, they're going to probably think I'm crazy and fire me from my job. And I get to the hospital and they take me to the trauma room, it's like an upgraded ER. It's like for really, really bad stuff that I was rushed there. And over there, you get the privilege of just getting all the imaging come to you and everybody comes to you. You don't really move. And I remember that they scanned me from head to toe. I mean, different machines. I don't even know what they were doing. And I remember that after that, the doctor came out. And he goes like, well, I've been working here for quite some time and I've never seen anything like that. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, did you come out of that van? I said, yeah, it's only me. It was like, you didn't even break a fingernail. you don't even have bruises, like not even tiny bruises on the body. It's like how. And I remember when I wanted to retrieve some stuff from they took it somewhere to tow it to this salvage yard, and I wanted to get my battery. And I remember the guy hugged me and said, "Well, my condolences, or your friend, a family member, whoever was in this van." And I was like, "It's me." And it's like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's me." Not even a bruise. I have the medical records, and I was like, and then my life was changing. I was just going through a major spiritual awakening. And like every good, genuine spiritual awakening, it doesn't happen without a challenge. It doesn't happen without, us just looking to our spiritual mirror, to our soul, and trying to align it. And I had marriage and divorce. Like I was going through like a mad spiritual awakening. Like I felt like my soul contract was just to be put around some people to be able to be a light to them. And I ended up doing this, just working in hospitals around, sick people in hospice as security. So I was always engaging with them. Since then, I've been helping over 1,000 souls, just one-to-one with just spiritual guiding, or I call it light sharing sessions. Is where I really meet souls who are destined to meet me. So it's not, I'm not like a bit, I don't advertise myself as somebody who is doing it for anybody. It's usually souls who see me through podcasts like yourself, and I've had few of them that messaged me back then because I said I just offer guiding because that's my calling. During my near-death experience or the out-of-body experience, how I call it, and the miracles that just happened to my life since then, and I'm still experiencing miracle every single day, even though I'm physically disabled and I'm very ill. On the spiritual side, I've never been more awakened, and I'm able to share light with others. And to me, that's the most. I'm living my soul contract. I'm living my soul journey. So that outer body experience really, to me, was just when it was like a soul swap, or when I was just connecting to my higher self and bringing it down to really live the life that I'm supposed to live, which is what I'm doing now.
So you weren't physically hurt in the accident, correct?
Not even a scratch. Well, maybe a scratch, but it wasn't because of the accident. They had to get me out of the broken window. When the firefighters took me out, I
Hmm.
guess I hit some glass. So that was like after the accident. But during the accident, I didn't have a bruise. And it was 80 miles per hour.
How did you end up? Now you have physical disability now as your back.
Yes, but this has nothing to do with the accident. These things that happen way later on. Like I said, I was a martial arts instructor. And during COVID, I also worked extra job at Targets. I was just unloading trucks. I was putting a lot of, physical strain on my back. And because of that, I had surgery that led to another surgery. But I don't believe in coincidences. My whole life, I let my soul take the center stage. Right now, like my soul is talking for me. My soul is making decisions for me. The body is in the back seat, unlike my past. So now I really know the whys of what I'm going through. And if it wasn't for this back surgery, I wouldn't be doing what I do, which is the soul guide, and meet the souls that I'm supposed to meet. And I have such connection to them, and they as well. They don't write anybody. Most of the time, they write me is like, we don't know why we even wrote you. It's just something told us. We watched your video and we're inspired, and we felt called to message you. And I'm like, you know what, guys, I've been waiting on you. I mean, this is how I just really set spiritual traps to souls that's supposed to interact with me on my soul journeys. A lot of it is through these podcasts and what I do on Facebook, which is daily insights, just to elevate people's soul. And every now and then I get a lot of feedback that people really just love that spiritual insight. They resonate with that. And to me, this is gold. So,
Okay. Is that how people can find you? Is through your Facebook?
yeah, I have a Facebook page called The Soul Guide with my picture. So yeah, pretty much what I do is every day I give one or two inspirational quotes from my experience, of course, from my perspective, my knowledge, and I do some videos. And I have some beautiful souls that are like I've never met, but they're like family to me and my wife, and it's like a soul family, soul community. And again, it's nothing to offer, nothing to sell, nothing. It's just pure love and just talking to souls I'm supposed to talk to.
Okay. I'll put a link in the description for your Facebook so
Yeah.
people can find you. And is your GoFundMe on there on your Facebook?
Yeah, my wife started a GoFundMe because with my disability, I went from like 3 jobs to not be able to work at all. And my illness and the amount of medications, the treatments I do every day. I don't like to go really deep inside what's going on with me, but if people can just send me good vibes and prayers and energies. So I lost my ability to work, and my wife took it all on her shoulders. So, and I bless her for that. But yeah, I'll be hearing soon to see what's going on with me. So, again, what's going on in the physical world to me is all the trials, all the challenges, all something that we're supposed to just embrace with unconditional love. So if before these things bother me today, it's just like, I dodged it. I just stick to my soul journey. And so far it's been just protective. It's been right. I feel like I'm really living my purpose. And that's why I'm doing the Soul Guide page. I just want souls. I'm like, I'm like a invisible or whatever, a spiritual traffic sign or road sign. I just tell people, hey, you got 20 more miles. Hey, you gotta go this way, that way. So these souls are amazing, and they're such beautiful, high in consciousness souls. And I'm just here to interact with them, to be like, hey, I'm a guide, nothing else. And a lot of the time, I'm getting so much light from these people. So I do myself justice as well.
Now, you call yourself a walk-in, correct?
Yes, yes. Walking, which, on this subject, and this is why I always tell people, it's our soul journey. It's individual. We all have just one fingerprint. Nobody in the world. It's amazing. We have 4 billions of people, and nobody can share the pattern we have on our finger, as well as our DNA structure. Like, nobody can mess with it. That's us. It's a soul journey. When I talk about a walk-in, which is probably a new age phenomena or term, they talk about a different soul coming to your soul in an instant, like when you either get in an accident, heart attack. Every time you're between the realms, it will catch you right there, and it'll be able to come and live your true purpose for you, or to correct what was wrong. And me, after years of my own self-research, I like to guide people, and the guidance to me comes in spirit guides, in visions, in souls. I mean, I get those numbers every day, letters. Like me and my wife started to document that because it's so weird. It's so beautiful to see that numbers coming to our lives every day, the same numbers. So we know it's her mom guiding us or whoever. But what I wanted to say is that, to me, walking, 2 years after I spoke to you, 5 years after, is really a portion of my higher self. When we say higher self, so it's something higher that's in within us, right? Something that's probably not right now where we at, but it's higher. It's that connection. It's once you establish a connection with the internal light, once you align with your soul, you're just going to have a purification process. Because that's why walk-ins remember their memories. They remember their loved ones and stuff. They're not really forgetting everything. You remember because that's still your people, so you're the same soul. But something happens and you completely change consciousness. Some people have it after NDE. Some people have it after like a sad moment or a breakup or loss of a family member or friend. So people really change. Some people look at the life differently. But me, because I'm supposed to be a soul guide, people were supposed to resonate with me. And it's not everybody. It's just people that in my soul journey and I am in theirs. They find me, and they find me to the shows, and it's just beautiful. The connection is beautiful. So walking, it's the higher self. It's the portion of you that is good. It's something in you that was meant to be, and you kind of chose the ego or the physical world over that. So something had to happen, because it wasn't that I was a bad person before, not at all, but I wasn't a good person. I wasn't soulful. And because I wasn't soulful, something like that needed to happen. It was like a wake-up call, or that moment needed to happen, so my soul will feel that it's really aligned. It's supposed to do this instead, because I changed completely. I mean, I've changed 180 degrees. Everything I used to love, I now kind of dislike, and everything I used to dislike, kind of love. So it's a completely different person. I never drama, never judging. All these values we expect for somebody who's spiritual, right? And I just live in harmony with my soul, and therefore I can guide to others, even just with telepathy. We can not even say a word and just stare at each other, and I felt like I'm exchanging light with people. And this was amazing. So yeah, we live our lives like souls that's having the body experience, and not the other way around.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing your story again, and I'll put a link
Thank you for
in the
having me.
description for the last time you was on. It was 2 years ago. And thank you for your wife sending that to me because I couldn't find it. So,
Oh, I appreciate, I'll never forget, to be honest, I think you were my first NDE interview.
okay.
And I thank you for that. So you also have a part of my growth because all these things just like motivate me spiritually to push even further and to spread kindness. It's all I care about.
A lot of people was on me first before anywhere else because there wasn't a lot of other NDE channels out there when I started. So
That's your calling.
I gave them a
It's an
good
amazing calling.
pick, a lot to pick from. So
Yes, amazing calling because you get to have souls express the truth. So you are the giver of truth.
thank you. All
You're
right. Well,
welcome.
best of luck to you. And I'll put
Thank you
that
so
stuff in the
much.
description for you.
Likewise, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Huh, I'm
Bye
back.
bye.